Welcome to the Anxiety Coaches Podcast, a relaxing and informative show where we explore anxiety, panic, and PTSD, sharing how you can overcome them for life.
Aloha! Welcome back to the Anxiety Coaches Podcast. I'm your host and coach, Gina Ryan, and I am so happy to be with you again today as together we can consider the many ways to bring your mind and body back to its natural peace and calm. We offer a number of ways to help you with your journey here at Anxiety Coaches Podcast, and I hope you will take advantage of everything that we offer. Be sure to subscribe to this twice-a-week podcast. I'd also suggest visiting our website where you can sign up for our newsletter, you can listen to the 10-minute body scan meditation, and check out the group and one-on-one coaching options, along with the resources and more information on anxiety. Go to anxietycoachespodcast.com and check all that out today. In today's episode, I want to talk to you about our feeling stuck in our anxiety and how to break free. Because there are times when we feel really stuck. And I remember that well, so I want to share with you some ways that you can break free. So this whole business of healing, of clearing our anxiety panic from our lives is a huge process. And I have said it 1,000 times if I've said it once, that it is not a quick fix. And I'm sure you've already noticed that, because if there was a quick fix, you would have found it by now. And because none of you are out there not looking around for a way to do this, but it comes up over and over again. And I don't fault you guys or myself when I felt that I had to just get the changes to happen right away. We cannot be hard on ourselves for that, because who wouldn't want to feel better right away when you are feeling as lousy as we can feel when we are carrying around the heavy load of anxiety panic. So what do we do when the bumps in the road come? The bumps in the road, that's what we're calling them. How do we move ourselves forward when we feel as if we're stuck in quicksand, that the more we move, the deeper we go? And so how do we actually get out of that? How do we get out of feeling stuck? I want to share some tried and true ways that you can use to help you actually break out of when those times come, when you feel really uncomfortable and really stuck, almost that feeling of, I don't even have any hope anymore. So take heart, because we always can grab on and have a little bit more hope. If you can write these things down, I know I say it all the time, put it in a journal, write it down, put it on sticky notes, but really we need to be seeing and hearing and reminding ourselves of these things over and over and over again until we don't need it anymore. That day will come, but if it takes 1,000 times, well, why not do 1,000 right off the bat, right? Let's get this all taken care of. So write it down, be around these ideas. First, know that bumps in the road are like patches of quicksand, and they are very normal on the path to clearing your anxiety and panic. And I also want you to remember that in this process, these kinds of days when we are in the quicksand or we are stuck, it's not comfortable. So just don't think scary thoughts just because it's not comfortable. Just say, this is super uncomfortable and it's not easy. And oftentimes we flip into being scared. It feels frightening. Like, why is this coming up now? Where did this come from? The questions. Just know that it's normal. Every day is not a bed of roses. You may have had a really awesome day, an awesome week, an awesome month, and then if you hit a bump in the road, the last thing you want to do is to re-trigger yourself by being frightened. So if you feel yourself going to the scary place, pull up your wise mind and remind yourself that this is pretty much normal on the road to recovery. And our road to recovery is at our own pace, and it is in our own time. Everything unfolds as it will for us individually. So you cannot be comparing yourself with other people, whether you are in the group and comparing yourself with others, or if you are just reading and you're reading these wonderful stories of how people have made changes in XYZ amounts of time and that you are taking longer. Please don't compare yourself, because we all get there when we get there. And just know that you are on your way. You're going to feel resistance, and when it pops up, I want you to make a list. Here we go again. I've got you back into your journal. So make a list of what it is that feels unsafe to you. What is it that feels so scary? Let yourself explore this. See if it is about real fear, like a real lack of safety in the world, or if it is just an old habit of resisting something new and unfamiliar, or if it is just, your desire to keep things status quo and somebody else is rocking the boat a little bit. Just write it down. Is this real danger, or is this an old habit of resisting or of reacting? So here are a few ways to keep in your journal or in your sticky notes around that you can break free, because sometimes when we're caught up in the moment and everything feels like it's going too fast and we feel really horrible and we can't think straight, we can't remember. People always ask me, well, I no longer have all my tools. When I get worked up, you still have them, but the mind is racing. So I just want you to have an easy access, have a list or have some sticky notes around with some of these ideas, the ones that you really resonate with. Talk with a trusted friend, a loved one, or a coach, a therapist, the clergy. Have somebody to chat it out with. Sometimes getting it out of our minds and have it come out of our mouths to somebody else can be really helpful and bring the stress levels right down. You can be with your pets, and you can be with a loved one, and sometimes just in quiet. This is where pets really come in handy, because they don't talk or offer advice. Sometimes we don't want any advice. We just want to be heard. So see if you can be with one of your fuzzy friends for some unconditional love. And maybe you are blessed with friends or family members who can do that for you also. Switch things up by exciting your senses. And by that, I mean listen to something different, listen to some music, have a different meal, taste something, really go for maybe have a nice tart fruit or something that was really kind of just bring you to your physical senses. Or maybe go to a museum and excite your eyes and your sense of sight, your sense of smell. Touch something new. Find a new fabric. I have friends who are really into different fabrics, and I love how that can be such a treat to be in a fabric shop and exploring and feeling and touching. So just know that you can bring yourself back and get out of a twisted kind of loopy place in our minds by using our senses. Another thing that you can do is to create a new routine. Maybe you want to switch up your morning routine before you go off to your daily chores or work. Maybe you want to switch up your evening or your lunch hour, but consider switching things around. Another thing that you can do is to take a sacred nature moment. And by that, I mean being with nature for some silence. For however long you can afford, even 5 minutes will really serve you. So maybe this is something you could do on your lunch hour, even if it's just walking outside and looking up at the sky. If you are fortunate enough to be able to be in nature and be able to be with the trees and the grass, maybe you have beautiful mountains you can lay your eyes on. But do it. Find some nature to actually just commune with for a moment. 5 minutes can make a big difference. Another thing that I want you to remember to do is to check in with the what ifs, because they're probably all over the place in your mind. But if you're not paying attention to them, they're just running wild up there. So check in with them and lay them to rest. challenge them as far as, there's no evidence for that, so we're putting you on the back burner. So again, we want to always remember to acknowledge, but then we can set it back on the back burner. Doesn't need any more of your energy or time. This is another place, this next one is for you to be able to start a new list of activities that in the past have made you feel really, really good. And so make that list, and then you can come back to those things that make you feel great. We all have, this is going to be very personal, but find some things that make you feel really, really good. And so when you're stressed and you are feeling super stuck and nothing is shifting, you can go to that list and say, I almost forgot I could do that. Another one is to find a way to recreate this activity into your life on a regular basis. So we don't need to wait until we are in a bad place to be able to do those things that we love so much. You can recall a moment in time that you were in awe or that you were thrilled to be alive, and savor this memory. Bring it up. You may have pictures that help you bring those memories to life again, and use it to create something similar in your life now, right? Maybe it's even just the planning of another trip for because you were reminded of how wonderful the last trip was. So we all have these things that we've done that make us feel good, but we forget. And because our minds, as human minds are, they lean toward the negative only to keep us safe. So we need to pull up our wise minds and keep lists for these times that we can't quite remember. Test yourself every now and then by asking yourself if you truly believe you can clear your anxiety, panic, and live a free life. Because you need to believe that it is possible to move forward. So I want you to spend some time with that. Really look inside and find that place of hope and faith, because when we believe, it shuts down a lot of the danger signals that are going on between the mind and the body. So if you have that hope and faith, just remember it. Spend some time in your journal and write it out that you do believe that it is possible for you to move forward and live a life without this anxiety, panic. You can transform some of the stuck beliefs by recognizing that it's just a belief, allowing it to be as it is. Again, going to neutral with it. Investigate the belief with curiosity, again, no judgment, and notice the natural awareness that arises from not being attached to or identified with the belief. And that is the RAIN process in itself. So do that, and you will know that you are coming to neutral over things. And when we are in neutral, we are not fanning the flames of anxiety, panic. And that is where we start our way out. You can talk to your stuck self out loud in the mirror. Do some mirror work. Yes, say it out loud. Get the thoughts and beliefs, again, out of your head. Say them. If you don't have somebody to talk them out with, do it with yourself in the mirror. When your stuckness feels like it's fear, ask yourself if you are falsely thinking that worry or fear is a form of protection. Because we fall into this often. We often think that if we think those thoughts, we are protecting ourselves. We are being insulated from the things that could happen to us. And so see if that's happening to you, because you may be thinking worried and fearful thoughts on purpose to kind of magically protect yourself. One of the skills we learn through anxiety panic clearing is to discern the difference between real danger and anxiety. And so this is a time we want to ask ourselves, is this really happening? And is this a real fear? Is this a real thought that I need to pay attention to? Or is this a fake thought? check in with your mind and body for overwhelm and for overwork. And so for that, I want you to I'm saying no more about it except to tell you to listen to episode 429. That was the whole episode was on overworking and our identification with overworking. Take care of yourself and take the steps that you need to take care of yourself. Take the self-care steps to correct the burden that this places on you and gets in the way of moving forward to a life that is peaceful and free. Take the self-care steps. Using the things we just talked about in the list above can be really helpful, but I want them to just be a springboard for you to come up with your own thoughts and ideas and your own list, and then kind of work it down so that it's a nice, concise list that you have written out your own prescription for breaking free of those stuck places and those quicksand moments. And keep that little list handy for when you feel that you are hitting bumps in the road or you feel like you are stuck in the quicksand. I hope this show has been helpful for you, and I love knowing that you are out there listening. I'll be with you in another couple of days. Before I read today's quote, I was wondering if you prefer the show without ads, or perhaps you might like to have access to the entire back catalog of over 600 episodes. Maybe you'd like some bonus meditation episodes. All of that and more are available for $5 a month with our premium Supercast membership. Go to anxietycoaches.supercast.com and join us ad-free today. The link will be in the show notes. And now for today's quote. In truth, the heart must crack open if the soul is to become free. And you simply cannot think your way into that. And that's from Terry Patton. I'll be back in a few more days with another podcast. Until then, be well and aloha.
Thanks so much for joining us for today's episode of the Anxiety Coaches Podcast. Find more information at theanxietycoachespodcast.com.